Hello, people of the internet. Welcome back. For those of you who don't already know, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when I was 10 years old and lost all of my hearing very suddenly about a year and a half ago now. And I have since received a cochlear implant. In this video, I will discuss what losing my hearing taught me about my autistic spectrum disorder. The first thing I have learned involves lip reading. The other day, my mum commented that because I'm looking at people's faces to lip read, it appears that I now make much better eye contact than I did before. Before she made that comment, I never realised that I had a problem with eye contact. It was always something that I thought I did really well, but apparently not. Before I lost my hearing, I would glance at the person I was talking to's face a couple of times during a conversation and mentally tick off the eye contact achieved box on my mental checklist. Now I have to constantly stare at people's lips to know what they're talking about, which I find pretty difficult. Not just because lip reading is challenging, but also because it's a lot of physical effort to just look at people's faces when my brain naturally just wants to stare at random objects. The second thing I have discovered is that I am naturally a very visual person, and I find speech more effort than signing, even though I'm not as fluent in BSR as I am in English. I prefer watching things with the subtitles than I did just listening as well. I have also realised that I need to ask for help more. I've always had a bit of a tendency to struggle until I can't anymore and then have a massive meltdown and feel like a complete failure. I think I'm getting better with that and feel better admitting that needing help doesn't mean I'm the most stupid person in the world. I'm unsure if that's because of losing my hearing or if I've just grown up a bit. I've also discovered that my theory of mind is terrible. I genuinely struggle to remember that others can still hear when I take my cochlear implant off. I also get annoyed when people talk to me and I can't understand because I don't realise that they don't know that I can't understand them unless I tell them. I also often sign to people who don't know sign language, and it takes me a while to realise why they can't understand me. I don't automatically realise that just because I can speak a language doesn't mean that they do. It's embarrassing to admit that. I find this so difficult because it seems obvious to others and it makes me feel a bit stupid, but it's true and a common symptom of autism, so it's not like it's just a personal failure of mine. I'm also super unobservant of other people. I never notice people staring at me when other people do. Not that people stare at me a lot, but people have pointed it out a couple of times and I've been completely oblivious. The final thing on my list is that I have realised that I am terrible at reading facial expressions. So I often misinterpret situations. This is embarrassing for me and makes me feel massively insecure. For example, I was playing tennis with my family one time, and I am terrible at tennis, but I was genuinely trying. For background, I can't hear people's tone of voice that well with my implant, so I often think people are shouting at me when they aren't. My mum said something to me as advice, but she was squinting because the sun was in her eyes and her face was a bit red because she was like exercising. So I thought she was getting really angry with me and shouting at me. So I shouted back, like, "I'm trying!" At this point, everyone got annoyed with me for being rude, and I end up looking really angry and melodramatic, and I end up feeling like everyone hates me for no reason. I hope people have enjoyed this video. A lot of these things are embarrassing to admit. I would imagine that other people find it difficult to be honest about things they struggle with. every day that other people don't even think about. Sometimes I feel almost like an inferior being, but I know I'm not the only person who struggles with these things, and I think being honest about it and normalizing these things can only be positive. If anyone also shares any of these struggles, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Bye!